Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Thursday night Smackdown review. And I gotta say, I had fun with this episode of Smackdown. I thought there was quality matches, some storyline progression as we head towards WrestleMania 32, and before that, Roadblock. And yeah, just an all-around fun 2 hours of wrestling, and that's the thing. I feel like with Smackdown, because it's been 2 hours forever, you kind of get used to the idea they know when to show up and they know when to leave. They don't overstay their welcome, because, I just hate 3-hour Raws. This felt perfect to me. I never really felt like it was dragging its feet. I had a good time with it. Ashton, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I would agree. This was a solid episode of SmackDown. I definitely, it's not really saying a lot because of how bad Raw was, but I do think this was better than Raw.
Right.
We got at least two really good matches tonight, and I would say that the trend that was started last night of really, really good main event matches got continued tonight, because we had another really, really good main event match tonight with a decisive, with a conclusive finish too, of all things.
Yeah, definitely, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
All right, with that said, let's get right into our first segment. Heat of the night. I do have a nitpick. I was in too good a mood to make this a full-blown heat of the night. I hate now that with Golden Truth, not only is it still continuing, to belabor that point, but now it's Truth pursuing Goldust. I know it's not Stockholm Syndrome, because that deals with actual kidnapping, but there's gotta be a psychological term for what's going on here. I just threw my hands up in the air and I'm like, you know what, you two deserve each other. So yeah, another pointless Golden Truth segment. I don't even know what to think anymore, but it did annoy me, so I felt like it was at least appropriate to make it a nitpick. So that's all I've got, though. Ashton, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything, but I will sign on to yours, because if you wouldn't have had that as your heat of the night, it would have been one of mine. So I'm just going to say that I sign on to yours.
Excellent. Glad we're agreed on that. All right, guys, no wasted motion. Let's get right into our Thursday night SmackDown review. And we open this baby up with a battle-tested Dean Ambrose. And he cuts a promo letting everybody know what he's thinking. And I love this. I thought this was a great opening promo. I loved how he started. He's like, hey, I'm just going to take a seat. I've been beaten up. I've got so many bruises. It's all come together into one giant bruise. So I'm just going to take a seat. And he pretty much explains, I'm not like one of these people that has this 5-year plan. I'm going to do this in year 1, this in year 2. Nah. See, Dean Ambrose is a guy, I go more by a 5-second plan. And my 5-second plan, on Monday I confronted Triple H, and that 5-second plan became a 5-minute meeting. And he pretty much talks about how he did get a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at Roadblock. And he mentions the interesting implications that could have for WrestleMania 32 if he wins. Because you have Roman Reigns, who has won the Royal Rumble and therefore has a guaranteed championship opportunity at WrestleMania. You have Brock Lesnar, who Dean Ambrose really wants a piece of, and Brock Lesnar in kind, he's not going to let Dean Ambrose go quietly into the night with that WWE World Heavyweight title. And you still have Triple H in the mix because rematch clause. So Dean Ambrose really paints all of the interesting dynamics that WrestleMania could hold if he just ruins everything, if he beats Triple H at Roadblock. Before he could go any further, though, Ashton, he gets interrupted by a familiar foe here.
Yeah, he gets interrupted by Kevin Owens. Owens comes out, and these guys have fought so many times now, but Owens says that he doesn't have any credible contenders for the Intercontinental Championship. He's almost jealous because Dean has these big matches lined up. He's got the world title match against Triple H, and then he's fighting Lesnar at Mania, and Owens doesn't have any kind of credible contenders to his, well, at least in his mind. So he says that Ambrose is a broken man and that he could take advantage of that if he wanted to. So he does. He tries to swing his belt at Dean from behind, but Dean gets out of the way, kicks Kevin Owens in the gut, and then cracks him in the back with the chair that he was sitting on. And then he makes the point that there's a big TV monitor that he could, he was literally staring at, that he could see Kevin Owens getting ready to attack him. So
Yeah, I thought that was clever. I loved Kevin Owens here because he pretty much, to your point, says, look, you're a broken man. I mean, he had Brock Lesnar a few weeks ago. I mean, he used your face as a doormat. And if you want to talk about Triple H, I mean, you're talking about a guy that beat you down just to kind of, prove a point. And he was just repeatedly punching you in the face. And the only reason that he stopped was because, or the only reason that you're standing or you're here is because he chose to stop punching you in the face. So pretty much saying, Ambrose, you're a victim of mercy, if nothing else. And then, yeah, to your point, he did try and hit Ambrose, and I thought that was clever, saying, well, I got a big TV, and I could see the whole thing the entire time. And yeah, then laying the gauntlet down. I will say I thought the chair was a bit excessive. We have to keep in mind that man is a father. I thought that was just a bit much. But, otherwise, really solid segment. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think these two have amazing chemistry. I thought their rivalry was one of the highlights of the Intercontinental Championship in recent memory. So these two going at it again, you won't hear a peep out of me.
Okay. Well, I mean, in that case, do you want to move on?
Let's do it.
Now, John, I'm just going to let it be known my notes are very fast and loose because I was paying attention to SmackDown as much as I could, but there were some things that I was taking care of on the computer while SmackDown was on. So if I do miss anything, first of all, I would appreciate it if you could try and, interject if you remember something happening and say something. If we miss something, though, guys, let us know in the comments, and, we'll talk about it with you in the comments on Twitter, that kind of stuff. But after this whole segment, I believe was our first match of the night, the Usos versus Rusev and Sheamus.
You are correct. You know what? Not a bad match, and I think the only reason I'm not, so angry about it or even, indifferent about it is I do like that the League of Nations went over here. It was a good back-and-forth matchup. The finish saw Jimmy Uso lighting up both Sheamus and Barrett with super kicks. He tries to go for a splash. Sheamus gets the knees up. He hits a bro kick, and League of Nations get the pin. To me, booking-wise, this makes the most sense. I'm really thinking we're on a collision course with League of Nations versus New Day. Y2AJ is still a question mark to me because I know a lot of people are calling Jericho to turn next Monday, but I read, I think just yesterday, that Jericho doesn't have any dates with Fozzy in the foreseeable future. So maybe him and AJ would win the tag titles, and maybe they could go on a brief reign before Jericho has to tour again. I don't know. I think a lot of stuff's up in the air, but I do think New Day and League of Nations are on a collision course, so I felt like this is the only right decision you can make. I also like this because the Dudleys didn't have to get involved for League of Nations to win. I think League of Nations needed a victory like this to really establish, hey, we are legitimate. We can do this. We can be a better faction than how we've been portrayed. I thought this was a good win for them, a fun matchup. And again, I am a bit biased. I think I'm looking upon this more favorably because of the finish. After the match, you have the Dudleys come out. They bring a table with them, and they pretty much lay out Jey Uso. And they seem like they're going to put Jimmy, who's already, groggy and everything from the bro kick, through the table. Commentary is lambasting them all, except for King, of course. They're hypocrites. And Bubba gets in Jimmy's face and he says, hey, Jimmy, remember how we said this wasn't personal? We lied. And then, just a boot to the face. And then they kick the table over. I like that. I will say I think the Dudleys have been kind of tedious and repetitive lately, but I like that they brought the table out only for a fake out. I think that's cool imagery. So all in all, I liked everything that happened here, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really getting into this whole Dudleys Usos angle because to me, I want more from the heel Dudleys, but I know that at least somebody in our comment section said that we should get used to it because the Dudleys were basically brought in to put over the Usos, and as much as I despise that idea, there's not really anything I can do about it. So I think I'm just going to have to end up tuning out during these segments as much as I don't want to because I appreciate the work that the heel Dudley guys are doing. I just, the Usos just ruin it for me.
Yeah, and it still perturbs me, and I remember that comment. I believe that was from our boy Mark Shoneman, who we really appreciate it. Usos don't need it, man. They don't need it whatsoever. You're already, what are they, Ashton?
You know what else they don't need?
TV time.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I knew it. I'm like, yes.
I was going to say it a little bit saltier. I was going to say to be on my TV, but basically the same exact idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking, they're already two-time WWE Tag Team Champions, if I recollect correctly. They've already worked a program with a team akin to the Dudleys in the sense that, we're these heel legends in the New Age Outlaws. I don't see what they can derive from this whatsoever. You know the team that you and I have kept saying, and I'm going to keep saying it. Enzo and Kaz could benefit greatly from working with heel Dudleys, and it really ticks me off that it's not going to happen. Maybe that's why I kind of relished in this beatdown a little bit. Screw these guys, and go League of Nations, at least for one night. So that's all I have to say about this segment if you want to move on.
Okay. I believe up next we had our second match of the night, Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz.
Yes, and this, I mean, you want to talk about reviews of brevity. I mean, there's not really much to say here. The story is Ziggler beat Miz in very quick fashion on Monday. Or Miz beat Ziggler, sorry. And then Ziggler returns the favor tonight. That's it, because Miz misses his corner clothesline, and Ziggler pretty much gets the backslide for the 3 count. And it's funny because given his position, I was waiting for him to put his feet on the ropes, but he didn't do it. So he did beat Miz clean. And now we've got this game of one-upsmanship. Miz was really aggressive to start because I think he had told Byron Saxton that he was going to beat his time, that he beat Ziggler on Monday. And, well, that didn't quite work out. So I guess now, I don't know if they're going to, I mean, Ziggler's a part of another series now. He just got out of a series with Kevin Owens. Now he's doing one with The Miz. So I guess Ziggler's just working with everybody for a lengthy period of time. That's really all I have to say about it, because there really was no match. I mean, that's all it was. So I'm good.
Yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like they might actually have a plan for this, but then again, it's just WWE, and that kind of tells me they probably don't.
Well, I mean, and of course, everybody knows on TWitWoW, anytime I reference a dirt sheet or Ashton references something, always take it with a grain of salt, unless we really are confident. We say 100% confirmed because it's like from somebody like Falcon Arrow or something.
Or, like Falcon Arrow, or there's a new guy on Reddit that, I mean, he posted a couple times, but he's very, very rare, but he does post every now and then. He calls himself Wade Meltzer, combination of Wade Keller and Dave Meltzer, but yeah. And I will say Dave Meltzer is one that if we ever reference him, it's probably it's got some credibility to it.
So, yeah, I mean, just keep those names in mind. Now, I don't know if any of those names came out with this report, so I'm just going to say that I did read it originally from No DQ, that more than likely got it from somewhere else. But Miz apparently is getting set up for some kind of unique match at Mania. They're going to do something with him. I'm guessing Ziggler is tethered to it, given the story we got here. Yeah. One idea thrown around is the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, you made me abandon that idea with some things you told me in conversation. I'm going to keep that. My lips pursed on that. Keep people guessing. But, whatever Miz does at Mania, I've been liking his work lately. You and I have been looking upon him more favorably. I think it'd be cool if he got a little bit something to do. I mean, he's not going to be in the stratosphere like main event or anything close. But if they give him something, that he can kind of work with, more power to him. Ziggler, I've been kind of, turned off by the guy, not really putting my stock in him for a while now. I think that's because he really hasn't been given anything major to do since they totally botched the authority angle where he was kind of the savior of getting them out of power. But, he still is great in ring, so we'll see what he does. But yeah, these two guys just seem like they're lost in the shuffle right now, and they're just colliding with each other.
Yeah, it's, there are a lot of reports coming out now, a lot more sort of decisive reports coming out regarding what's going to be happening at WrestleMania. And it's starting to look a little bit better than we thought it was, but it's still pretty iffy. It still feels very much like it's one of those things where even despite all of these injuries, I still feel like they could have put on a really good WrestleMania, but it feels like they're really just kind of phoning it in with the excuse that, oh, well, look at all these injuries. You couldn't make a better show than this. You know what I mean?
Right.
When they totally could.
Yeah, man. It's right in front of them, dude. I'm hoping they can make something happen. But honestly, it's funny because I was on Twitter, and I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name, but Kyle, who writes Raw reviews for the AV Club, he's going to Roadblock, and I said, Roadblock, what WrestleMania should have been, and he actually replied to me, you're not wrong. Because I'm serious, the way the Roadblock card is looking, that's what WrestleMania should have been, because you got Ambrose versus Triple H, you've got Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. I'd keep, the match that we ended up getting for the Divas Championship, which we'll get to that in a little bit. Already, I think that's a far more favorable WrestleMania card. And I don't know if that was your idea.
Not to mention Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, Enzo and Cass, and I would have put them on there, except change the NXT tag titles for the WWE tag titles.
That's exactly what my point is, dude. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not do that?
Exactly. I'm really thinking Roadblock almost subconsciously was like, oh, this is the WrestleMania card that should have happened. Yeah. Yeah, it really was.
And yet all they're thinking is Roadblock. This show sucks. WrestleMania is going to be awesome this year.
Exactly. Oh
because
my
that's
God.
just what they think. They just don't know. They just are in their own little bubble. And honestly, as far as the writers go, I do feel bad for them because they're more worried about job security than actually putting on a decent show because they're more concerned with writing a show that Vince will like when it comes to, their. Yeah, that's what it is. They're more worried about making a show that Vince will like than putting on an actual good show.
Exactly. So with that
it's
said,
scary. It's scary. Like, and that's the thing too is that's apparently that's been the environment backstage for a long time now. It's probably not going to change until Vince leaves. Which there are rumors now that Vince wants to step down and give the company to Shane, which is really, really weird given everything that we've been thinking about Triple H this whole time. But hey, whatever, man.
Hey, I guess it's a familial thing. He wants to keep it in the family. Shane, I'm not going to look upon unfavorably because from what I've read, everybody likes Shane. He's personable. He's kind of like one of the guys. I think he'd be more open to input. That's
and for
just
what
my
it is
belief.
worth, I mean, the original WWE ECW was supposed to basically be what NXT is now, and that was Shane's idea.
Okay. I don't know if him and Triple H would be able to collaborate because I honestly have no idea what the nature of that relationship is like.
Yeah, I mean, they have apparently from what if the reports are true, which I mean, obviously that's like you say, take it with a grain of salt. There's some pretty major heat between the Levesques and Shane.
Oh boy. Well, drama never ends, I guess. But yeah, for now, I guess we can move on.
All right. Well, up next, at least in my notes, was the Golden Truth segment.
Yes, you are correct.
Which, why WWE? Why is it that you have Goldust basically act like a creeper for months, not even weeks. It is months. It's got to be at least 2 months now. And R-Truth's turning him down at every turn. And now one time R-Truth actually manages to hurt Goldust's feelings, and suddenly Goldust is so hyper offended that he is unwilling to team with R-Truth anymore, and now R-Truth has had a change of heart and he wants to team with Goldust. This makes literally no sense.
Not only does it make no sense, and again, if I wasn't in such a good mood, I think this would have been a full-on heat of the night. I actually find this offensive. I think this is sending a really bad message. Like, oh, you get rebuffed at every turn, but don't worry, you're not in the wrong, they are. Like, way to teach people to respect personal space. I feel like this whole angle is so regressive. Like, all R-Truth said over and over, and he tried being nice about it at first, I don't want to be your tag team partner. After the millionth time Goldust approached him, yeah, R-Truth exploded. Now Goldust said, I didn't get a chance to say anything. Well, yeah, that's true, but what did R-Truth think you were going to say? I mean, the best indicator of the future is the past, right? So if Goldust came up to me, I'm thinking, oh, fuck's sake, he's going to ask me to be his partner for the millionth time. I don't blame Truth for losing his patience. And I think it's a bunch of crap that he's backpedaling now. And he's like, oh, man, I see your vision. Gold and Truth, shut up! You don't see the vision. You're free. You're free, you cuckoo bird. Go. Fly. Get as far away from Goldust as possible. It's just, I feel like it sends such a bad message to show R-Truth coming around when Goldust was just forcing himself on him. It actually makes me uncomfortable. And I think that's even why it was a nitpick. Makes me uncomfortable.
I think that, if you want to send that kind of bad message, you can do it if you do it with heels, but these guys are meant to be beloved.
Exactly. Which makes it even, and I think that's exactly why it's a bad message, because these are baby faces.
Yeah.
If it was a heel creeper guy, like bullying a babyface or coming on to a babyface, like, hey, you're really good. Like, say if somebody saw how talented Neville is, and they're like, oh man, that's the guy that's going to get me to the tag team championships, and they were like bullying him and coercing him and just, invading their personal space. Or as we've seen, a guy like maybe like Rusev doing it to a woman like they were with Lana, and then she said, I'm free from my abuser, only to go back, which that was horrible too.
Yeah. The WWE has a habit of doing stuff like this.
Yeah, you're really horrible at promoting positive messages, WWE. I want you to know that. You really, really, really suck at it. Just letting you know. Yeah, this segment was ass, just like every other Golden Truth segment's been ass. Just team up and win the tag team
Except
titles
for, like,
already.
the first two.
Yeah, the first two were good. I was like, all right, I can dig it. I even remember saying on TWitWoW I could dig it, so I don't want to backtrack now. But my God, did you beat? There is no horse left. I am beating a dead horse. There is no horse left. You beat all the skin off of it, and now just go and win the tag titles because I know it's inevitable, and I hate you people. I hate you people so much. So, all right, I'm good. I got the rant out of my system. We can move on.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, if that's the case. Then we can move on. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
This was one of the two matches that I was talking about when we were kind of summarizing the show, where I said that this was one of the two really, really good matches, because I thought, even, up to and including the interference that we got, I thought this was a really solid show.
And how funny is it, dude, that they took my booking straight from my brain for SmackDown. They saved it for SmackDown instead of doing it on Raw. Because this is what exactly everything they did is exactly what I wanted to happen on Raw. But we got it now, and that's the important thing, is that we just got it at all. And I will say, my favorite moment of the match wasn't even any particular move or the finish or this and that. It was just Sasha. She had failed to pin Becky, and she's just staring in utter despair at the WrestleMania sign. I freaking love that shit. I loved her body language, how she emoted, because in that one instant, that told me everything that I've always believed WrestleMania to be about. Because she was looking at that sign with such longing, and she's probably thinking in the back of her mind, Becky Lynch, that bitch, is not going to take this away from me. I have worked too hard for this. But, I mean, you could see the pain on her face, like, what do I have to do? What if I'm not good enough? And if I'm not good enough, that means I can't go there, the place that I've been working towards since I was more or less a teenager, and I knew I wanted to do this. I mean, you and I have heard her story countless times. She missed a family member's funeral because SmackDown was on, or some WWE program was on. She was so dedicated to just everything, and I felt like it all came to a head just in that one facial expression. I loved it. I was so into this match. Great back and forth from both women. And yes, like I wanted on Raw, the double non-finish, Charlotte coming up from behind after Ric Flair effectively distracting both women, clubs them both from behind, and, she just kind of saunters off with the Divas Championship in tow, proud of herself, because now I have no challenger for WrestleMania. You really don't watch the product, do you, Charlotte? This plan wasn't original, and it's never worked ever. You didn't do that with Flair. You did it with stupidity. You can feel bad now. But regardless, this was amazing. Thank you, good sir.
Your little speech there. That was great.
Yeah, thank you, good sir. Thank you. What did you think, man?
Oh, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this match, first of all. This was a really good match, in my opinion. Like you said, dude, when Sasha went for that pinfall and Becky kicked out, and she just looked, she had her hands on her face, and she just had this look like, oh my God, this is my last chance to get that WrestleMania moment, and I just don't know what I can do to get it. I just don't know how I can beat this girl, and it was so good, and I can't wait for this triple threat. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so much fun. I'm excited.
I know, again, referencing Mark Schoeneman again, he tweeted that this is his match. Like I said about Dean Ambrose, Brock Lesnar, this women's triple threat is his match.
And this is probably the match that I'm most excited about right now, honestly.
Yeah, I don't believe... Dude, I'm going to be honest, right? Sasha Banks in that one facial expression, and Becky Lynch with how great she is with her babyface and fire and everything... Those two, when talking about WrestleMania moments and the matches they've had and just everything, have sold WrestleMania more about what WrestleMania really is than any Roman Reigns promo, any Triple H promo. I'll even say to a degree, any of the work done by Ambrose and Lesnar. This feels like WrestleMania, and it's the Divas Championship, which shows you how great at least these two women are. And you know what, Charlotte?
Well, let's be real. The only thing about those other two matches that makes it feel like WrestleMania is, oh look, Triple H and Brock Lesnar are wrestling. That's it.
Exactly. I mean, these two women, Becky Lynch and Sasha, because Charlotte's already the champion, but Becky Lynch and Sasha made it feel like it was everything to get to WrestleMania. Like they'd saw their own leg off if they needed to and hobble to the finish line, making any sacrifice necessary just to get a shot at WrestleMania. It was conveyed in their matches, conveyed in their promos, just everything. And now Charlotte entering the fray, who, you know, in ring with these two women, I think she can certainly carry her weight. I think it'll be a phenomenal triple threat. I even tweeted myself, it's a 4-hour show. If you can't afford these women 15 minutes to go and do their thing, shame on you, because I think we're really in the mix to see something special. WWE has just got to pull the trigger on it, and I really hope they do, because this is quality stuff that's happening right here.
Yeah, I agree. All right, up next, we had our backstage interview here. It wasn't really a full-on interview. It was just kind of Renee Young catching up to Charlotte and Ric Flair in the back. And, of course, because she is Charlotte now and she's got this whole heel character going on, she gets all condescending with Renee, talking about how, do I need to do your job for you? And then Renee is just like, well, yeah, because Charlotte said, aren't you supposed to be getting scoops or something? And Renee's just like, I actually did get a scoop. At WrestleMania, you're not going to be facing Becky Lynch or Charlotte or Sasha. You're going to be facing both of them in a triple threat. And I know she didn't actually say it, but I really wanted her to just be like, how do you feel about that, bitch?
And in a way, she kind of did, because she's like, you have any comments about that? And, her tone was like, eat it!
Yeah.
Eat it with Flair!
You even just used the word indignant, I feel like, and that was the exact word that comes to my mind when I feel like what Renee's attitude was here, indignant.
Yes, and she had every right to be. Good for you for standing up for yourself, Renee. Yeah! I'm happy. So, there you go.
Yeah, this was really cool.
Stuff. Yeah. All right. After that, I feel like we got New Day coming out to the ring.
That's what I have on my notes. I guess I took better notes than I thought. So, yeah, New Day's up next. Job. They cut a promo about how much of a garbage city Atlanta is and that Xavier Woods is a miracle because he came up through Atlanta and managed to actually be a success. And, yeah, I mean, who's going to disagree with that?
Certainly not. I mean, the guy has a PhD and he's a wrestler. I mean, I'm certainly not going to.
Yeah, just because I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan doesn't mean I have to like the city.
Exactly.
I know what most Atlanta Falcons fans are like. I'm not stupid.
The theme of the promo, too, was miracles, because they talk about how Y2AJ claiming they got a tag title shot was a miracle. Claim miracles happen every day, like the low cost of the WWE network.
I love to. They're literally just quoting the Insane Clown Posse at this point. I'm shocked that they didn't bring up magnets.
Really? Interesting. I know Kofi invoked Jello, and he said, oh, well, Jello's a miracle, like how that's made. And then Big E is just starting to explain, and then Kofi cut him off. It's a miracle! So, yeah, I thought that was funny.
But it's just what? It's a miracle, Big E!
Good stuff.
I love it, man.
Then we have AJ Styles come out, and we have AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston. Fun matchup. I'm really enjoying AJ. I still got to pinch myself sometimes to remind myself that he is in the WWE. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to murder Francesca too. I was so worried. He grabbed it at one point, and Xavier's like, no. And, ultimately that distracted AJ long enough for Kofi to get the upper hand. Yep. But in the end, though, Big E and Xavier, they get ejected from ringside. And then Kofi, when he's distracted, he's like, oh, come on, Rev, what are you doing? He turns around into a flying forearm from Styles. Styles gets the pin. He wins. And I loved his escape from Big E and Xavier after the match. He really is phenomenal. And yeah, he says, Y2AJ, yeah, they're coming for the titles. Monday night, could be their night. We'll see. So yeah, New Day, things are looking pretty rough right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like it's weird that AJ won with the flying forearm.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I'm a fan. I mean, have you read the reports circulating today that Vince doesn't want him using the Styles Clash?
I also saw the tweet that he put out saying, who says the Style Clash is banned?
Ah, so he responded, huh?
He did.
Good stuff. If that is true and AJ was just trying to save face, I mean, you still have the calf crusher. I would like to see him use that more. I don't really like the idea of him using the flying forearm as a finisher. I'm sure.
I mean, it's an amazing signature move, but I don't think it should be a finish.
I agree with you completely about the categorization. I think it's a great signature to set up for the Styles Clash, or, whatever they would want AJ to do. But as an actual finish, I can't buy it. So I don't know. That's all on WWE, and hopefully Styles can kind of assert himself, be like, hey, Styles Clash, that's not my fault. The guy's got to protect himself in the move. Don't tuck your head in, all that kind of stuff.
Look up!
Exactly. So, yeah.
Up and back, up and back. Look up and back.
That's how you take a Styles Clash, people. And who would have thought that TWitWoW would be so informative? Now we're educating people on how to take moves. I mean, will wonders ever cease?
I don't think anyone listening is even surprised at this point.
I bet not. So after that, as far as I'm concerned,
maybe
we got our
main podcast. You're surprised, but we try to be educational when we can.
Exactly. I mean,
and hey, it's a two-way street. Sometimes our crowd, our fan base, educates us too.
Mutually reciprocal education. Why are you going to college again when this is a thing?
And of course, I mean, we also have this SOB over here using the big words all the time.
Exactly. So, enlightening you and heightening your skills for verbiage. I mean, again, what more can you ask for?
Literally Damian Sandow.
Exactly. Then we get our main event. According to my notes, Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens.
Yep.
So, yeah, what a quality main event this was. I freaking love these guys, and they really tore the house down. I love that Dean, the whole story revolving around the match was, well, Dean's crazy for accepting it because he's all banged up, and he really sold being banged up, I thought, very well.
Yeah,
and
Dean was selling this entire match. I mean, I shouldn't even say this entire match, because really he was selling the entire night. He was just constantly looking like he was in all kinds of pain, and I say looking like as if to imply he wasn't actually, but we don't know. He might actually be in pain, and it wouldn't surprise me because he's that good at selling.
Wouldn't surprise me either. Jerry Lawler on commentary for this match was great, as
he's
was
so good.
Yeah. I know, right? Who would have thought we'd be raving over Jerry Lawler in 2016? I never thought this day would come again.
Well, though, I don't know. If somebody would have told our 2011 selves that Jerry Lawler was going to turn heel again and do commentary, would have been like, oh, I bet he's so good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not as surprising as, that he's good as it is that he managed to turn heel again.
Yes. I like the way you phrased that. So he was really on point, just thinking, Ambrose brought it on himself, and, just ended Owens. And Owens, I mean, his cannonball in the corner, a thing of beauty. To me, the highlight of the match, though, came with the finishing sequence. These guys trading gunshots. Who's going to get it first, the pop-up powerbomb or the dirty deeds? And I was afraid that Dean Ambrose was going to beat Kevin Owens with the Hurricane Rana again. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad that it was just like a release Hurricane Rana, and he didn't even get dirty deeds right away. It was still a little bit more back and forth. But ultimately, Dean did get the move off, and, yeah, he does get the win. So Dean's got momentum heading into Roadblock on the 12th. Kevin Owens had a quality effort. I'm telling you, that man is so good, it should almost be a crime.
Almost.
Yeah, it is a crime. Screw it. Book him. Better, preferably, but I don't know. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love that the Intercontinental Champion got to go toe-to-toe with the number one contender for the world title in a main event like this. This was great. And SmackDown once again proves to be, honestly, a nice palate cleanser. I mean, as if Lucha Underground didn't do that enough, and then,
right. Well,
substitute for something amazing.
And to be fair, SmackDown being a palate cleanser wouldn't be a big deal because of Lucha Underground, but I think it is a big deal because it's still WWE.
Yeah, that is true.
It shows that, as garbage as Raw is consistently and as garbage as their general overall direction is, they're still capable of putting on a decent show even on the main roster.
I think that's kind of what I'm driving at. I mean, in all honesty, guys, if there was no Lucha Underground, and may that day never come.
Never!
And if there was no NXT, and may that day never come either. Sacrifice all of your children. And there was just... Wow, that got
intimidating voice makes me giggle.
I know that you and everybody else, my friend. That's why I would never be an emperor. So there you go. And if there was just SmackDown, I do think it can hold its own, on its own merits to be a palate cleanser for when Raw is awful. I enjoyed this show. I think in a vacuum, this show was excellent. I really do. I had fun with this. I thought there was quality wrestling on this show. And again, we even got some storyline progression with the Divas. And as far as the main event goes, this was highly competitive. Great back and forth. Dean gets the win, which I think is smart because he is the number one contender. But Owens doesn't look pathetic because, again, it was an exchange to get that dirty deeds off. So Kevin Owens didn't go quietly. He didn't look weak in defeat. And yeah, this is a perfectly booked main event in my eyes. I enjoyed it.
I think my favorite thing and the thing that caught me off guard the most was that this was a perfectly clean, no shenanigans, just a straight up one-on-one match with nothing added to it and a clean win for Ambrose. I love that.
Yeah, and you know what? I think in a weird way, even though he lost, it makes Kevin Owens look great too, because he wasn't willing to stoop. He really wanted to beat Dean Ambrose, and I think he felt like he didn't even have to stoop because the guy came in wounded.
Well, and let's be fair, Kevin Owens actually does have a tendency to, act like he's about to put someone through the announce table by, taking that cover off and then taking the TVs out and clearing the table off, and then just throwing them back in the ring anyway, just to kind of screw over the announcers. That's something that he does. So we can't even say, oh, he didn't stoop, because that's just a Kevin Owens thing to do.
You're so right. He's so above cheating. I mean, primarily because he's a father, but also because he's amazing.
I agree with both of those sentiments.
Well, one of them's actually fact. He really is a father, so I'd hope we'd agree. Otherwise, we have some serious questions on our hands.
You said one of them is a fact, and honestly, I question whether he was a father or not, because I thought that him being amazing was the fact.
Oh, look at you with the counter. Looks like wrestling isn't only taking place in the ring, huh? Yeah. All right, well, I've said all I can say about the main event. Do you have anything else you want to comment on?
No. Let's close it on out. Let's finish. We have 2 segments left, and then we're done. Let's move on.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Move your face on.
Yeah, high spots and low shots. My low shot is The Miz, because he wanted to beat his personal best on Raw, and he ended up beating himself. I was gonna say, out of context, I know that sounds horrible, but yeah, just
in San Diego.
Yes, in South Park reference for the win, by the way. And Miz just being so focused on, I gotta beat Ziggler within like a minute, 30 seconds, or however long he had. He ended up missing a critical maneuver. Ziggler got the backslide and he lost. So it was humiliating, and he can go back to Hollywood with no Oscar and with a loss. He is now officially worse than Leonardo DiCaprio, according to the internet. So congratulations there, Miz. Way to go.
Implying there was ever a shot at Miz being anything but worse than Leo.
That's so true. All right, who's your low shot?
I have an honorary low shot this week.
Sweet.
I'm just trying to figure out which of the 2 people that I have in mind should be honorary and which one should be the real low shot. No, you know what? My honorary low shot's going to go to Kevin Owens, because he picked on an injured man and still lost, unfortunately. But my actual low shot makes me extremely happy, because it's Charlotte, because she thought she obviously, like you said, she doesn't watch the product, because she thought that, attacking Becky and Sasha at the same time would cause a double disqualification and they would both lose. But as it turns out, this time they both won, and she has to face both of them at WrestleMania. Have fun losing your title to Sasha Banks.
Yes to all of that sentence. That actually also fits in perfectly, because I have an honorary high spot. Again, I'm in a good mood tonight. My honorary high spot's Renee Young. Not only did she defeat that shit to Charlotte, but her man won tonight.
I'll sign on to that. I will sign on to that. Honorary high spot for both of us. Renee Young. I love it.
Yeah, brother, yeah! And then my actual high spot, while I'm on this fucking roll, is Dean Ambrose. Because he has a great promo to start the night out. He wins a main event despite being busted up, and Jerry Lawler being like, oh, just stay down. And he's the boyfriend of Renee Young. He beats us all, okay? There are no winners other than Dean Ambrose tonight. So, Dean's my high spot.
I can dig that for sure. My high spot is AJ Styles, because...
Excellent.
As much as I don't like the idea of AJ and Jericho being in the tag team division, or even AJ and Jericho facing each other after breaking up again, he won tonight, and he beat one of the tag team champions, which gives him and Jericho a lot of momentum going into their tag title match.
I think that's only going to fuel Jericho's complex. I think he thought if he left AJ alone with the New Day that he wouldn't be able to handle it, but seeing AJ handle it probably made him jealous.
By the way, did we even talk about the fact that there was a Bray Wyatt promo tonight?
Oh, you know what? You're right, we didn't. And that's how irrelevant Bray Wyatt promos have become, is that I didn't even bother to remember.
I mean, apparently he's facing Lesnar at Roadblock, and I have no clue what he's probably going to just be in the armbar at the frickin' Big Show at Mania.
Oh my God, what a demotion that is. Holy shit.
Year 1 loses to John Cena. Year 2 loses to The Undertaker. Year 3 loses what used to be the dark match battle royal.
Exactly. And who does
While one of his teammates ends up winning it. Because
I was going to say, and who does he lose it to? Braun Strowman.
Spotlight!
Yes. Yeah, the promo was pretty much like, oh, you've beaten them all. You've beaten every man that stepped forward to you, but I'm gonna let you in a little secret. I'm not a man. Well, yeah, you're not a man. What are you, a machine? What are you, Cage now? And yeah, Bray was just talking about what he is and what he isn't. Same as always, but he's gonna be on his back for 3 seconds, and we're gonna forget all the promos prior to that anyway, so none of it matters. Come on, Bray. Show me something.
Moving on.
Yeah. Who's your high spot?
I thought I already said my high spot was AJ.
Oh, that's right. Your high spot's AJ, which means we only have one segment. I'm sorry. I got so wrapped up in the irrelevance of Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family.
Don't put me in a spot like that, man.
I'm sorry, man. God. Now you get to put me in a spot. Particularly, you get to put me in a hot seat because this is 30-second hot seat. What do you got today? Come on.
You know, I gotta say, I'm gonna go ahead and claim victimhood here too, because this also puts me in a spot because I have to come up with these.
How dare you? You realize how pompous that's I have to come up with the question. It's so hard being me. I'm on a timer here. I can't give my normal, eloquent, brilliant answers. I've got to be succinct for the clock.
See, John, I'm on a timer also, but I'm also really good at extending that timer. There's a tactic that I like to call stalling.
Wow, dude.
All right, so let's just keep it simple.
Okay.
We have how many matches do we have announced for Roadblock? I'm just going to say 3. I know there are probably more, but I'm just going to say 3 announced matches for Roadblock. Ambrose versus Triple H, Lesnar Wyatt, and the Enzo and Cass versus revival match, Dawson and Wilder. Who are going to be the people that win those 3 matches? You have 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
Okay, I see the Revival beating Enzo and Cass, retaining the NXT Tag Team titles. I see Brock Lesnar defeating Bray Wyatt. And oh god, this should be so straightforward, but of course I'm me, so it's not. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to say that Dean Ambrose beats Triple H and becomes WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and we're getting that Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania, because I think this pay-per-view was only created because they recognized their error again. So, yeah, Dean Ambrose for the freaking win, and we get a Fatal 4-Way.
Well, for what it's worth, this pay-per-view has been around for a while now.
Is it really?
Yeah, we've known about that. I mean, they just called it Roadblock. They just named it, from what I understand, just recently. But we've known that there was going to be a live special in Toronto between Fastlane and WrestleMania for a few months now.
Is that right? Well,
the rumor a month or 2 ago was that the main event was going to be Triple H, Brock, and Ambrose in a triple threat, and now they're changing it.
All right. Well, there's only one thing.
I agree with you, though. I don't actually think they're going to, because as far as I'm concerned, Vince McMahon is just hard-headed enough to keep the title on Triple H and be convinced this is what's going to happen. Triple H is going to keep the title, but because he beats Ambrose, he's going to get booed. And when Roman comes back, people are going to hate Triple H so much that they're going to forget how much they hate Roman. And he's completely foolish for thinking that, but I do think that that's what he actually is convinced of. And they're going to go forward with Triple H versus Roman at Mania. Roman's going to win clean. He's going to get booed out of the building. And the WWE is just going to be like, ha 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 ha, you think we care what you think.
Yeah, well, they're counting those wads of cash. Yeah. Well, you certainly make legitimate points.
Well, they're struggling to fill the stadium because I don't think they've even sold 80,000 seats yet.
Yeah, normally they brag by now, dude, about how they sold out. I think even before now, and they haven't done that yet.
Well, I mean, even typically, like even normal WrestleManias usually sell like 80% of the tickets before the card is even announced. And now, the number that I've heard is that they've only sold like 70 to 75,000 out of like 105 to 110,000 tickets. So
wow,
that's actually under 70%, depending on what the exact numbers are. It's hovering around that 70% area, though.
Well, then you know what? Given that, and given everything you told me prior to that There's only one thing that John does when he's met with facts that contradict his position. Double down on the original position. So Dean Ambrose to win the world title. Yeah!
You're so right. That's exactly what you do.
I know. So at least I'm consistent by being logically inconsistent. TWitWoW. Fuck your faces. Yeah!
You couldn't even get that out with a straight face.
I really couldn't. But I'll tell you what I will get out with a straight face. Our outro, unless you have anything else you want to say about this SmackDown.
I think we can close it.
All right. Well, then we are going to close it because this was SmackDown. This was TWitWoW. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. You know what the question is. It's always the 30-second hot seat for SmackDown reviews. So who is going to win the Roadblock matches that are already on the card? Remember, it's the Revival versus Enzo and Cass for the NXT Tag Team titles, Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar, and Dean Ambrose versus Triple H for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Who do you got winning those matches? Be sure to take the conversation over to Tweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. A lot of people coming around on SmackDown because of Mauro Ranallo's golden pipes and quality wrestling, I'd like to think. Also, be sure to like the TWitWoW Facebook page. Be sure to share the content around, interact with it, comment, do what you will. Also, be sure to check out the TWitWoW subreddit. You'll find all of our TWitWoW content there, and members of the TWitWoW subreddit can create threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling. But if you want to get on the ground level, if you want to get the most intimate interaction with Ashton and myself, the best bet is always to follow us on Twitter. I am at John_TwitWoW. Ashton is at apond, that's the letter A, pond, the body of water, POND, 404. There you'll get a lot of us. I like to live tweet during Raw. I know Ashton likes to do that sometimes as well. You'll get our thoughts and opinions on New Japan, Lucha Underground, NXT, sparingly throughout the day. Great place to be. And until then, guys, we will see you again. I don't believe we have anything but our Monday Night Raw review, where, please, by the love of Morgan Freeman, may it be better than last week, or I might just take up drinking. Emphasis on might. Until then, tune in and peace out.